Greetings, I'm Willie, and if you're ready for tales that will uplift your perspective on romance, get ready for a ride. Allow me to share the tumultuous journey that was my union with Monica. Monica and I crossed paths 6 years ago, during a time when life seemed effortless and full of promise. She possessed a vibrant energy, keen, driven, always commanding the situation. She entered a room, and instantly it seemed as if everyone else was vying for a chance to shine in her glow. Who? Me? I was an unassuming individual, skilled with technology, reasonably adept in social situations, yet hopeless at recalling my mother's birthday. Yet, against all odds, Monica had a fondness for me. She often mentioned that she appreciated my steadiness, yet at times it seemed like a courteous way of labeling me as dull. When we tied the knot, everything felt right. I worked in coding, a realm where a significant part of the challenge is demonstrating your humanity, while she possessed her impressive graduate degree and held a position overseeing individuals in a complex corporate maze. We would share light-hearted banter about our professional experiences. I would describe middle managers as professional obstacles, and she would respond with an eye roll, elaborating on the necessity of individuals like her. Perhaps we believed our uniqueness would add a spark to the mix. Initially, it was effective. We would prepare dinner side by side, indulge in crime dramas for hours, and share laughs over whose responsibility it was to take out the trash. Life felt substantial. However, the lockdowns arrived. Ah, the lockdowns. If you've ever pondered how tight living conditions can transform a marriage into a puzzle to solve, let me assure you, it happens quicker than you might imagine. We both began working from home, which seems wonderful until you come to the realization that you're now colleagues who also share a bathroom. I transformed one of our spare bedrooms into my workspace. Monica chose the alternative. At this point, the situation took a strange turn. I would still rise, take a shower, shave, and don a suit, despite the fact that only our cat would be my audience. "Is that you, Monica?" She would rise from her slumber, slip into her sweatpants, and begin tackling emails with one hand while simultaneously indulging in a game of Candy Crush with the other. I swear, it felt like we were in entirely different worlds, hers being a leisurely paradise, and mine a frantic race against the clock. Initially, we found it amusing, then the laughter morphed into subtle jabs. "Oh, you're quite the expert," she'd remark, a hint of a smile playing on her lips. "Is it truly necessary to shut your office door for a quick 15-minute meeting? Are you concealing something?" I attempted to convey that all I required was some focus, yet she would consistently dismiss it as if I were overreacting. Honestly, it felt as though we were becoming unfamiliar faces sharing a financial obligation. Fast forward to the moment her office reopened. Monica seized the opportunity to return. I held no blame against her. Remote work just didn't suit her, and on top of that, her company was promoting social distancing and all that nonsense. Yet, when she returned, it felt as though she had never truly arrived back. She began to linger after hours, claiming she was connecting with colleagues or expanding her professional network. And by networking, I mean enjoying a glass of wine at her boss's apartment. Warning sign? Oh, it was quite the spectacle. Then arrived the iPad incident. One weekend, she placed her old tablet on my desk and asked, "Can you wipe this?" "I would like to present it to my niece." I replied affirmatively, as the dedicated tech professional I strive to be. Yet, as soon as I switched it on, they appeared before me. Correspondence, images, and clips exchanged between Monica and her superior, Damien. Indeed, he goes by the name Damien. Absolutely it is. They weren't precisely sharing friendly tips, if you know what I mean. I wish for you to grasp my intentions accurately. This information was not readily apparent. For some reason, I felt the need to review everything before I reset the iPad. It seems my annoying tendency to hold on to crucial information has resurfaced. The emotions I experienced are beyond words. It felt as if I had been disconnected from the world around me. I gathered all the materials, texts, photos, everything, and saved them in my cloud storage. After that, I reached out to a legal professional. Following my conversation with the lawyer, I chose to reach out to a private investigator to uncover additional details. To be truthful, I've always had a desire to engage the services of a private investigator. I might have watched an excessive number of films. The following weeks unfolded in a dreamlike manner. Monica continued to behave as if everything was perfectly fine, as though we were still immersed in our little game of pretend. In the meantime, my attorney and a private investigator were meticulously collecting all the evidence necessary for the divorce proceedings. I'll confess, I maintained my composure initially. Yet, the evening prior to our submission, a shift occurred within me. Monica returned home late that night. Once more. She strolled in as if she had just wrapped up a scene in her own love story. Effortlessly casual, hardly glancing in my direction. I can't recall what she mentioned at all. It was likely something along the lines of "don't stay up for me" or just a hectic day at the office. However, on this occasion, I refused to overlook it. I gazed directly into her eyes and remarked, "I hope those networking sessions with Damien prove to be worthwhile." She paused for a moment, and then her facade fell away. Her voice became more cutting. "What do you mean by that?" "Oh, don't act innocent, Monica." I observed the messages, the images, the clips. "Did you honestly believe I wouldn't verify before clearing the iPad?" Her expression became frigid, and then she chuckled. She truly laughed. "Do you really believe you can just walk away from me?" she said, her tone laced with disdain. "Willie, darling, it's quite amusing if you believe you can. Allow me to clarify this for you. If you make an effort, I will receive 50% of all that exists. Your earnings, your nest egg, even the home. All that will remain is that neglected, dusty old computer of yours." Her comment about the computer was quite hurtful, especially since I had just gotten a brand new MacBook. Then she continued, "Let's be real. You're not getting rid of me. If you choose to remain, there's bound to be some benefit for you. Every now and then, there may be moments of closeness, but you must behave well." At times, that word struck with the force of a slap to the face. I remained frozen, bewildered, as she sauntered away to her room, a smirk on her face as if she had triumphed in a debate. I spent the entire night in my office, gazing at the walls, contemplating how the woman I once married had transformed into this. The following morning, I reached out to my attorney. "Submit the documents," I instructed, "and do it with emphasis." When I requested a bold move, I wasn't solely referring to submitting the divorce papers. I aimed for Monica to experience the full weight of the betrayal she had dished out to me, presented back to her on a silver platter. My attorney attempted to reason with me, bless his heart. "Willie," he remarked, "judges lack a sense of humor. While revenge might provide immediate satisfaction, it could have repercussions down the line. Do you really want to take this path?" "Of course," I replied. "I'm not merely submitting, I'm asserting my voice." And that's how the concept of the cake was born. I had no idea that you could order a cake with a custom image printed on it until my lawyer's assistant brought it up in jest. Yet once the concept blossomed, there was no way to retreat. A rush order was placed by me. An extravagant, oversized cake adorned with the most scandalous photo of Monica and Damien prominently displayed on top. The frosting on top declared, "Here's your cake. Enjoy it." The process server, truly deserving of recognition for his zeal, brought the cake and the divorce papers directly to Monica's office. Oh, and he ensured it was done in front of an audience. He noted that she was sharing laughter with a group of coworkers when he entered the room. "Are you Monica?" he inquired, gripping the enormous box. "Indeed," she replied, her expression one of bewilderment. He opened the box, unveiling the exquisite creation. Her expression shifted from bewilderment to sheer embarrassment in an instant. He set the divorce papers down on the table next to the cake and declared, "You've been served." It seems that Monica emitted a piercing scream, as if a banshee had just swept through the space. She accidentally knocked the cake off the table, yet it miraculously landed face up on the carpet, allowing the image to remain visible for everyone to admire. Those individuals she works alongside? Half of them stood there, completely taken aback, unable to respond. The other half began to murmur, and, as I understand it, one even let out a laugh. A voice called out, at last, something delightful. Wow, that's definitely a sign because I'm really tired of this diet. Damien, the authoritative figure and romantic interest, was seemingly present as well. He turned ashen, snatched his belongings, and exited the room in silence. My phone began to buzz incessantly within moments. Messages, notifications, and voice messages from Monica. How could you betray me like this? She let out a scream in one of the messages. I chose not to respond. I simply passed everything along to my lawyer and allowed her to deal with the chaos. She failed to return home that night. Instead, I received a text from her mom informing me that Monica would be staying with her for the time being. To be honest, I experienced a level of sleep that I hadn't enjoyed in months. Before you discover what unfolds next, kindly subscribe to the channel. What about the upcoming days? Complete stillness. Monica found herself at her mom's place, and truthfully, it felt as if a burden had been eased. Silence enveloped the house, tranquil. For the first time in ages, I felt completely at ease. However, it was only a matter of time before the tranquility was disrupted. On Saturday morning, a message from her arrived. It's time for a conversation. Our story. Absolutely. As if there remained any semblance of us to discuss. I responded to her email. Legal counsel's guidance. We can have a conversation, but it must take place either in my attorney's office with your attorney present or here with witnesses and all proceedings documented. To my astonishment, she consented. Strange. I thought she would put up a fight or hesitate, but that wasn't the case. I reached out to Mike and Amber, two friends of ours who have witnessed everything unfold. They arrived, we arranged our phones to capture the moment on the kitchen table, and then Monica appeared. She strolled in as if nothing had occurred, as if this wasn't a gathering focused on her betrayal and the destruction of our marriage. She even attempted to embrace me. I raised my hand and said, "Let's cut the drama and get straight to the point." Initially, tears streamed down her face. Large, sorrowful tears like those of a crocodile. She expressed her regret, admitting she felt adrift and was uncertain about how to mend the situation. I remained there, expressionless. Next, we entered the second phase. Pointing fingers. You were never present for me, Willie. You sequestered yourself in your office for the entire day, completely overlooking my presence. We had stopped behaving like a couple altogether. It seemed as though I was sharing my life with a mere housemate. Naturally, I desired more. I was clenching my jaw so tightly that it's astonishing I didn't draw blood. But then she delivered the ultimate surprise. Her winning move. Are you aware that pursuing this path could lead to losing everything? Half of your earnings, the home, all of it. Judges tend to favor women in these situations. You'll find yourself overwhelmed by financial burdens as I continue to progress. Perhaps you ought to consider the appearance of this situation, to you. Oh, I simply couldn't resist. I genuinely found it amusing. You have a point, Monica. This is going to turn out poorly. To you. She blinked, taken aback. Then she changed direction. Once more. This can be resolved, Willie. All we require is a bit of time. There was a time when joy filled our lives. Please don't discard that. I leaned in closer and said, Monica, there's nothing more to mend. Our connection was severed the moment you chose to betray Damien. Are you seeking my guidance? Secure legal representation. Consider how you will address the situation with those colleagues who are attempting to manipulate you. Indeed, I'm aware of that as well. Wishing you all the best. Her complexion drained of color. For the first time in this entire ordeal, she appeared truly frightened. Yet, in a moment of irresistible impulse, Monica delivered one final sting as she rose to her feet. This will come back to haunt you, Willie. No one can compare to what I bring to the table. A smile was all I offered. It seems we'll find out soon enough, won't we? With that, she burst out, the door crashing shut in her wake. Once Monica departed, I realized I couldn't remain idle, anticipating her next action. My attorney had instilled it in me. Prioritize your own safety. Feelings follow in due time. Now, finances arrive. What should we tackle first? Divide the savings. I created a new account in my name and transferred half of all my assets there. It was neither sly nor deceitful. It's about being clever. I took the step of freezing my credit and removed my name from any joint accounts that I could handle without her signature. Are there subscriptions available? Altered. What about utilities? Transferred to my account? Is there an option for automatic mortgage payments? Modified. The mortgage was indeed the point of contention. The house belonged to us in name, yet we still had a significant amount to pay off. My attorney mentioned that it was probable Monica would contest it, whether to reside in it or simply out of spite towards me. To be truthful, I just wasn't prepared to part with it. This house was my endeavor, my refuge. I refused to allow her to transform it into a trophy. I began exploring various possibilities. Is it possible to refinance solely in my name? Should I consider selling and accepting my losses? My attorney suggested I stay calm until we understood Monica's perspective. Here's the situation. Monica appeared to lack a perspective. She was preoccupied with managing the aftermath of her professional turmoil. It seems that my little cake escapade was a delightful surprise that continued to unfold. The news traveled quickly throughout her workplace. Damien, her superior and romantic partner, ended the relationship abruptly and instructed her to limit their interactions to professional discussions only. It seems he completely steered clear of being in her presence. And her so-called work friends, the ones who had encouraged her, they betrayed her faster than a poorly written plot twist in a melodrama. It seems that someone began referring to her as Cake Girl when she wasn't around. That hurts. The weight of expectations bore down on her. HR may not have intervened officially, yet the signs were unmistakable. They found it simpler to expel Monica. At the week's conclusion, Monica decided to resign. She claimed it was to concentrate on her personal life, but we all understand the implication behind that. At that moment, she found herself without a job, devoid of friends, and, as far as I could see, utterly inundated by her circumstances. She was overwhelmed, caught up in the chaos of her own life, leaving no room to prepare for the impending divorce. In the meantime, I was taking action. I began the process of organizing my assets and envisioning what my life would be like after the divorce. I began therapy, not only to address the chaos Monica created, but also to ensure I wouldn't bring any of this baggage into my next chapter. Let me tell you, attending court for a divorce resembles stepping into a boxing ring where the referee seems to be rooting for both parties to deliver a knockout punch. Monica entered with an air of confidence, her hair impeccably styled, heels clicking assertively as if she were the star of the show. Who? Me? I arrived in a crisp shirt, exuding a calm assurance, as if I possessed all the evidence needed to support my stance. My lawyer was ruthless. Monica was convinced she had it all figured out. She truly thought she was leaving with half of all my possessions. But lo and behold, that's not how it unfolds when you're the one who sank the marriage. Due to the evidence we gathered, the judge determined that she was not eligible for spousal support. Monica will not receive alimony. Swift. Nothing. Nothing. I still can't grasp who came up with the idea of spousal support. It's fortunate we chose not to have children, or I might have found myself in quite a predicament. She did secure a claim on the house, however. It appears that even in cases of infidelity, an individual may still claim a share of the property if their name is included on the deed. But here's the twist. The judge considered the account while determining her share. All of this stems from the extensive financial documentation I have gathered regarding my contribution to this house. Rather than receiving the 50% she anticipated, she ended up with a smaller amount. I promptly made an offer, knowing I had to pay the money for this portion. The judge has given the green light to my proposal. Monica concurred as well, driven by the fear of losing it all. When everything was concluded, Monica's lawyer appeared as if he wished to hide beneath the table. Is it Monica? She appeared as if she had just received a consolation prize at the Olympics. She whispered a quiet complaint about the court's apparent bias. Yet my mind was consumed with the thought, biased? Opposed to dishonesty? Envision that. A few days later, Monica returned to gather her belongings. It felt as though I was witnessing a poorly scripted reality show unfold right before my eyes. She strolled through the house as if bidding farewell to a cherished companion, or perhaps searching for spare coins. "Oh, Willie," she said, her voice oozing with insincere sweetness. "This doesn't have to be the conclusion, you realize. We have endured a great deal." I interrupted her before she could finish her thought. "But, nope," I reiterated, this time with a grin. With a dramatic sigh, she sank onto the couch. "We might as well remain friends." Ah, the nostalgia of yesteryears. "Companions?" I chuckled. True friends would never betray each other. She employed an alternative approach. "We shared some wonderful moments, didn't we? You consistently embodied stability and reliability." Indeed, I maintained my composure, didn't I? That's what you referred to me as. "Monica, being steady doesn't equate to being a doormat." And then the tears flowed. Ah, the sorrow. I truly believe that if I had captured them, I could have addressed California's drought issue. She pleaded for another opportunity, claiming she had transformed, that she had gained wisdom from her past errors. "Monica," I remarked, propping myself against the doorframe, "you remain the same individual. It seems you've exhausted all possibilities, and I've completely run out of patience." As she finally departed, pulling her suitcase along, I shut the door and released a deep sigh of relief. It felt as though I had just triumphed in the final match of a grand tournament. The house belonged to me, my finances were secure, and Monica. She had become a concern for another. Perhaps she would encounter another Damien or two to unleash chaos upon, but no. Monica, always the master of transformation, chose to embark on a journey as a relationship blogger. Indeed, that's correct. My ex-wife, who transformed our marriage into a dramatic spectacle, now had the nerve to offer advice to everyone. Her blog had a rather absurd title, something like Lessons from a Love Survivor, and it featured entries such as why men are the problem and how to spot a steady guy before he drags you down. Naturally, I wasn't mentioned by name, but her ex seemed a bit too recognizable. She portrayed herself as the unfortunate, misjudged victim of a heartless, indifferent husband who plotted his escape from a just divorce. One day, I came across one of her vlogs, a 10-minute tirade called How to Recover After Being Gaslit by a Tech Bro. Can you figure out who the tech enthusiast was? Listening to her go on about my supposed plotting felt like watching a character sketch of a villain in a Lifetime film. I took the logical course of action. I reached out to her. "Monica, could you please refrain?" I stated. "Oh, Willie," she said, her voice laced with feigned purity. "I'm simply expressing my reality. Surely you wouldn't wish to stifle my voice, would you? I called you out for not being honest. Your fan fiction lacks quality." She let out a frustrated breath. Perhaps if you hadn't deceived me out of my fair portion of the house, I wouldn't find myself in this situation. I ended the call just in time to avoid saying something that might mess with my karma, but that's when the spark of creativity hit me. If Monica craved some excitement, I was more than willing to serve her a slice, complete with a sweet finish. Every 2 weeks, without fail, Monica began to receive cakes. Stunning, exquisite cakes featuring personalized images elegantly displayed on their surfaces. The initial image showcased me relaxing by the pool, a cocktail in hand, with the phrase, "Life's great, thanks for asking," elegantly displayed at the top. The second cake, with me beaming beside the title to the house, "Home Sweet Home," was inscribed in graceful lettering. Every cake arrived with a delivery driver, whom I generously tipped to capture her reaction, and indeed, the responses were worth every cent. She believed they were offerings from her audience or companions. Monica opened the box, her face flushing with every hue of embarrassment. She would let out a scream, forcefully close the lid, or in one unforgettable moment, tossed the cake into her front yard while shouting, "This is harassment." She turned to her social media to express her frustrations. "My former spouse is pursuing me with baked goods," she shared, along with images of the destroyed treats. Her followers were divided. Some saw her as a victim, while others simply inquired about my bakery's contact information. However, the crowning moment arrived when I gathered all her responses into a captivating highlight reel. The title was Karen versus the Cakes, accompanied by an excessively dramatic classical score. To provide some background, Karen has become a term used online to describe someone who is overly demanding and theatrical, often insisting on escalating issues to a manager at every opportunity. Monica embodied the stereotype with such precision, it was nearly a masterpiece. The video depicted her in a fit of rage, yelling at the cakes, shaking her fists at the heavens, and throwing tantrums that could evoke envy. Upon sharing it online and tagging her, it quickly gained immense popularity within just a few hours. Comments poured in. The intensity is through the roof. Can you believe someone could be so upset over cake? This is the epitome of passive aggression, and I absolutely adore it. The following morning, my phone vibrated. It was Monica. "Willie, this needs to end," she said, her voice carrying a weight of defeat I had never witnessed before. "You are making me feel embarrassed." "Oh, you mean that time you exposed me in your blog?" I responded, relishing the irony. She let out a low groan. "All right, I won't bring you up anymore. I will also remove the previous posts. Enough with the cakes already." "Agreed," I replied, struggling to suppress my smile. And just like that, we arrived at a fragile agreement. Enough with the cakes. Enough with the blogs on Gaslit Tech, bros. We parted ways for good. If you found the story captivating, consider subscribing to the channel. I hope you find yourself in a wonderful mood and that fortune smiles upon you.